We are now coming to session 4, which is Care for the Planet, Museums Adapting and Restoring Biodiversity to Harmonise with the Environment. So we're running through the theme here of regeneration and now actually restoration of ecosystems. This is our last case study session. We'll have another little coffee break after this one. And this session, where is he? Jamie, there you are, you're already there, yes, is chaired by Jamie Larkin, who's Assistant Professor of Culture, Media and Creative Industries at the University of Warwick, and also a board member of ICOM's International Committee of Sustainability. And we are actually particularly thrilled to have representation here of one of ICOM's more than 30 international committees, where, of course, much of the international work of the organization happens. If you are an ICOM member already, you know that every member has the opportunity to contribute to the work of international committees of their choice. I think there are at least 2 that I think you're signing up to as part of your registration. If you're not active in those yet, we have a number of colleagues across the UK, including Jamie, of course, who are very active in international committees. If you're interested in that, please come and talk to us. But for now, Jamie, the floor is yours.
It's a perennial challenge being tall. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm delighted to be here moderating this panel today. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to the organisers. It's been a wonderful conference so far, and also to the speakers who've provided a really interesting set of case studies and kind of academic reports, results. It's been really fascinating. And this panel, I think, will be no different. Before we start, I would just like to do a short plug for ICOM Sustain, and thank you, Christian, for preparing the ground for that. ICOM Sustain is a new international committee focused on museums and sustainable development. We are working across a whole range of activities trying to encourage museums to adopt more sustainable practices. One of those is the ICOM Action Plan for Sustainability that we'll be running a workshop on tomorrow at 9. If you are interested in the committee or any of our work, then you can find us by Googling ICOM Sustain. You can also follow us on LinkedIn using the handle @ICOM Sustain. And we also have a number of board members in the room today. So please feel free to speak to us about becoming a member or our work. And maybe if the board members could just raise their hands. We have Lucy Mara, Jenny, Ben, and Clement. So please do feel free to speak to us after, or in the breaks or after the sessions. Could I invite the panelists to the stage, please? That'd be okay. And I'll introduce you. And then Gleyce, is Gleyce here? Yes. So as Christy mentioned, this session is focusing on museums adapting and restoring biodiversity to harmonise with the environment. So we are going to have 3 case study examples looking at regenerative practice across a range of different contexts. And I'd just like to introduce the panelists who are going to be speaking today. We have Mamdouh Farouk Mohamed, who is the director of Imhotep Museum in Egypt. We also have Gleyce Heitor, the Director of Education at the Instituto Inhotim in Brazil. And Gleyce will be supported by Gabriella, who will be translating her talk into English. Gabriella is currently in a different room at the moment, but will be joining the panel when it comes to the Q&A session. And joining us online, we have Mohsen Ghanooni, who is Director of Research and Development at the Cultural Institution of Boneyard Museums in Iran. So the session will follow the same model as previous ones. We'll have our presenters speak, and then we'll have some opportunity for questions at the end. But yeah, if you could just join me in welcoming our presenters. And Mohamed,
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me this event. Thank you, ICOM UK. I came from Egypt to introduce something I think is very different in Imhotep Museum. I think that most of you know is Imhotep is the architect in ancient Egypt. And thank you, special thanks for my family ITB to be here. Thanks, Cathy, for everything you do. I would like to shed more light or focus on the renovation of Imhotep Museum. Introduction, we can talk about Imhotep climate change, okay, is affecting negatively on Imhotep Museum, okay, and the mission and the visions of the Imhotep. Imhotep Museum play a vital role in Egypt, in Giza, and located in Giza government, and we suffering from the climate change in this museum, most of them. The climate change is the largest, most complex challenge at the facing society, and it's affected natively and includes some infrastructure, internal operation, communication, community engagement projects. Representation focus on how would-be renovation projects in Imhotep Museum successfully treat and mitigate the climate impact and try to renovate museum for sustainable future. This is a photo of Imhotep Museum. Its location, Saqqara site, building consists of 6 halls, opening date April 20, 2006. The mission of Imhotep Museum to collect, document, conserve, and display Saqqara heritage and shed more light on architecture evolution by Imhotep. The value to display the tangible and intangible heritage of different historical periods in Saqqara. The vision to play educational and cultural role with local community. Saqqara site climate change or climate impact. We suffering from rainwater, heat, the wind, humidity, groundwater. Yes, this is a graph show us how the dashed blows how to growing up the lines of the temperature. Here we can trending line get it's mean going up, getting warmer. This is a different, you can feel the 4 seasons in Saqqara, summer and winter and from Saqqara suffering from all the climate change. And we have here the graphs show you the wetter and drier. The climate impact assessment, how to do it. The scope, we can see the first phase, heat, process energy, refrigerators, and the second is scope 2, electricity, the district leading, and the museum, and the scope 3, we talk about the waste, business travel, staff travel, and visitor travel. This is the photo of Imhotep Museum. You can see here this Imhotep located at above, and this located to the border of the enclosure wall. His aerial view of Imhotep Museum location from the main road, and we are suffering from all the climate change from wind and heat. So the infrastructure has damaged from this climate change. You can see here the rainwater risk. It floods extensively on Saqqara site in winter. It caused direct threat on the museum and its annexes that caused water spots on the building roofs. You can see here the water is covering the roof of the building. And here you can see the water inside the rooms and the visual sitting room. This is a cinema hall that the water rain rushed rapidly inside the visual setting. So it's very dangerous on the maquette of Djoser complex, and the enclosure wall or the fence or wall from stone has damages. What did we do? We could raising the level of the stone wall with a fine outer case slabs to look like enclosure wall of Djoser complex, and supported behind with cement and sloping drainage line, and we closed the risk point on the road. You can see the point, red point here, that all the rainwater was rushing on the mountain inside the open court of the museum. And we could making a new drainage line, underground drainage tank to absorb the capacity of water, capacity as a result of rainwater and the daily uses. This is a map of Saqqara site groundwater risk. You know that Imhotep Museum is located at the border at the ancient Nile flood plain that was affected on the Saqqara site. So when they choose the Imhotep site, they choose this spot. It's very dangerous because it's exposed for many factors of the climate change. This is a map or a demography map of water distribution at Saqqara. Okay, you can see Saqqara sites is located at nearby the floodplain. This is collapse on the ground inside the museum because of the groundwater. We can see the cracks in the walls of the tomb's hall, collapse in the floor. This is very dangerous. This is the showcase that was displaying the King Meri-Ra, the mummy of the King Meri-Ra. We felt that it's very dangerous for this showcase, and all the cracks and the fissures were exposed to this showcase. This is a faience of the wall of faience of Djoser complex. These were cracks and the fissures result of groundwater, and we could to dismantle this wall and collect it again. What did we do? Conservation, packing, and storing the museum objects. We got to save all the objects from the museum, and we got to dismantle this wall again, documenting and covering the faience wall with anti-acid papers, groups of them. And all the workers here, people, do dismantle the blocks of limestone. This is a faience wall. Okay, remove the old soil and making the in solution. This is treating the floor collapse by remove the old sands, remove the underground water floor insulation. Temperature and humidity risk. We can see the high temperature affected negatively on the audience visiting rate. And we can see here the air condition, we amended or treating and repairing the central air condition, raise the efficiency of showcases, which was painted when was painted with insulting material. We can see here the biological damage risk. The limestone was infected by fungal infection. And we could to treat the wood that was infected. Okay. These termites in Saqqara was a very dangerous, attack the woods in the museum due to the high heat, especially in visual setting hall. We can see here the damage of the wood. This visual setting hall, wood was treated by replacing the decomposed panels with outer and installed the marble slabs on the first level to protect the wood from termites. And we changed the light from halogen to LED light. It's very important. We changed the light system in Imhotep Museum. You can see the difference between halogen and LED lights. Okay. This is the difference between halogen and the LED lights. This architecture hall. You can see the difference between the two system, light system. Mitigation emissions. Imhotep Museum is bordered by the houses of villagers who are sometimes doing some negative actions, such as burning rice straw, so it causes emissions. We could install security system, fire, brake, alarms, 43 removable and immovable camera. Some people or some tourists when came to Imhotep Museum, they smell the smoke. They feel that it's dangerous and it's a fire. So we could install security system to know, and this is the difference between fire and the smoke. And we could plant different plants and flowers that to be friend on environmental in Saqqara. We can see here planting Alicia officinale. This is Latin name that love both moisture and sunshine. And we can see this bougainvillea, ornamental plant with a bright color being white. Purple needs a warm and the right temperature.
Mohamed, I'm afraid we might need to wrap up in a moment, just so we've got a bit of time for the...
Okay. This is a basil, herb, repel flies and mosquito, and it is very friend of the ornament. This after renovation is architecture hall, is a tombs of Saqqara hall, the missions hall, and we can see Imhotep statue and the Djoser statue, base limestone, and we could see here this mummified cheese, preserved cheese in the jars. That's they preserve it in museum. And this is a king of the King Meri and Ra, 6th dynasty. And the visual sitting hall. Before I finish my talk, I would like to say that we are friends to the nature. When the nature became angry, we have to respect the nature. So we have to be friend, not enemy of the nature, okay? Because they need us and we need the nature. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that, Mamdouh. That was a whole host of issues that you're facing, and I look forward to talking more about them in the Q&A. Can I invite Gleyce to give her presentation?
Bom, boa tarde a todas as pessoas presentes. Eu queria agradecer ao ICOM UK pelo convite e também a Gabriela, que está aqui fazendo a tradução.
Good afternoon, everyone here present. I would like to thank to ICOM to the invitation to be here, and to me, Gabriela, that's translating. Thank you too.
Primeiro, eu gostaria de falar para vocês o que é o Inhotim. Então, o Inhotim é um museu de arte contemporânea a céu aberto, que fica no Brasil, e que desde 2010 recebeu o título de Jardim Botânico, tendo também sido reconhecida em 2024 pelo GBCI por suas práticas de colecionismo, pesquisa e também de educação ambiental.
I would like firstly to introduce you to Inhotim, which is an open-air contemporary art museum that gained on 2010 the Botanical Garden sign up or information of being in the Botanical Garden, but also in 2024 received from GBCT the grant as a research process and also scientific place.
É também um museu que está situado entre dois biomas. O Brasil tem 6 biomas, né, se a gente considerar o mar etório, e ele está situado entre 2 principais biomas do país, que é o Cerrado e a Mata Atlântica.
The museum is is in between two biomes, in between like the sea, but also two really important biomes of Brazil, which is the Cerrado and the Atlantic Forest.
Mas também, de forma complexa, é um museu que está situado numa região de mineração que ficou mundialmente conhecida em 2019 pelo rompimento da barragem que vitimou 272 pessoas.
It's also a place that is a very complex mining surroundings place in which in 2017 had this very difficult issue on having people being death, the barrage, the dam of Rio Doce. 272 people were killed by the barrage. I'm sorry, I'm just confused. Thank you.
Então, como pensar natureza, regeneração neste contexto, né, de abundância de biomas, mas também de uma complexidade ambiental que é a atividade mineradora?
So how to think about regeneration, reparation into this place that also is destroyed by mineration and also it's being depleted by it.
Recentemente, né, o Inhotim, que sempre foi reconhecido pelo seu belo e abundante paisagismo, reviu justamente a sua missão institucional para pensar a natureza de uma maneira mais ampla e de forma integrada com esse contexto, e não a natureza como um pano de fundo ou como um cenário para a arte contemporânea.
Because of this abundancy and the beauty of the museum, it was necessary in this process to change or reflect on reprove the way that the museum is thinking itself, not just use the botanical space or the botanical garden as a theme on the background, but something that supports the museum itself.
Então, isso significa que a natureza ela está no centro das ações do museu, e não como um contexto e um pano de fundo.
It means that the nature then is part of the museum, it's part of the theme of the museum, and it's not on the backdrop of it.
Mas também significa um foco na conservação e na regeneração de espécies, e não no colecionismo que o museu praticava, que estava mais centrado na quantidade e no exotismo das plantas.
And now then the focus goes to the conservation and regeneration of the plants rather than in the collectionism and the gathering of exotic plants.
Então, nesse sentido, pensando um foco na conservação, o museu ele reestrutura as suas ações para pensar no estudo das plantas endêmicas.
Then the focus of the museum shifts to think about collecting endemic plants or autochthonous plants, indigenous plants.
Para trabalhar com a restauração desse ambiente, olhando para as espécies em risco.
I'm thinking about the restoration of these species, especially the endangered ones.
Para promover e para apoiar a pesquisa científica, pois além de pesquisas próprias, de um corpo científico próprio, o museu ele também tem tecnologias e infraestruturas, por exemplo, que a universidade não tem. Então, não só realizamos as nossas pesquisas, como apoiamos e colocamos a nossa estrutura à disposição do pensamento científico praticado na universidade.
The idea also is to promote and support scientific research and be a scientific research hub in which people from the university can come also not just cooperate, but also use certain materials into the lab that they don't have and we have.
E também para aproveitar que nós somos um museu com excelente reputação, para partilhar com o nosso público e convidar o nosso público a se engajar com as pautas da natureza, sejam elas as mudanças climáticas, o racismo ambiental e outros temas que envolvem e que tocam diretamente o Brasil.
And also because we have this reputation of in the museum, of in this open space to discuss about nature, also other important themes for us, like ambiental racism that we face in Brazil, we are an open space for that.
Eu trouxe 2 exemplos de projetos onde nós trabalhamos com os objetivos que eu apresentei anteriormente.
I brought two different projects that we work with the vision that I just presented to you.
Um deles se chama Ser do Cerrado.
One of them is ser do Cerrado, that at the same time means being from the Cerrado, but also to be from the Cerrado.
Que é um projeto, como eu falei para vocês inicialmente, que tem o interesse de pensar que o Brasil tem muitos biomas para além da Amazônia, né, que é o bioma que geralmente engaja o país no debate público internacional.
And it is a way for us to appoint that Brazil has many biomes, 6 biomes in itself, and we are pointing and focusing into the one of the Cerrado, trying to understand the diversity, resilience, and the specificities of the Cerrado.
O Brasil a gente poderia dizer que é o nosso deserto e que ele é marcado não só pela biodiversidade, mas também pela resiliência como sua principal identidade.
It's important to say that Cerrado is like the desert of Brazil that has its own specific biome, and it has a characteristic of being resilient, but also having a complex biome with many species, not just of the plants.
Então, o Inhotim tomou como tarefa não só proteger, pesquisar sobre o cerrado, mas também promover as suas espécies.
So the idea is not just protect the Cerrado, but to research and promote the species of Cerrado.
Como também trabalhar uma ideia de que a integração entre humanos e não humanos, entre natureza e a vida cultural, ela necessita que as pessoas construam, né, e tomem para si uma identidade do cerrado. Não é sobre plantas apenas, não é sobre animais, mas é necessário pensar o que significa ser um sujeito do cerrado para que as pessoas se engajem com uma relação e uma integração com esse bioma.
The idea then of Inhotim, or taking the Cerrado of this place of dialogue of human and non-human, thinking about the connection to this nature is to also to understand how we are a being from the Cerrado. We have the identity inserted in the Cerrado.
E é a partir disso que nós temos um conjunto de ações que envolvem mobilizar o público do museu em torno de um conhecimento sobre o cerrado, que vai desde visitas guiadas, pontos de educação científica, semanas e eventos sobre o meio ambiente, tendo o cerrado como principal tema, e também publicações científicas, mas também publicações em linguagem popular, em linguagem convencional, que possa dividir com o máximo de pessoas possível esse conhecimento.
So our education team works really hard towards having this conversation with different groups and with the public that comes to the museum as well, trying to understand how to engage them in different places, but also reflecting how our materials have to be accessible to all of them, also having many of those products being in speaking word, not just in written.
Isso resulta também num banco de sementes mantido pelo museu, no qual nós temos mais de 500 mil, né, espécies de semente, das quais consideramos que 80 são espécies nativas.
And we have a seed bank in the museum as well too, and we protect them. We have 500,000 of them, thinking that 80 of them are endangered species.
Sementes que não são mantidas apenas em laboratório, mas que nós fazemos questão que façam parte do percurso e do cotidiano das pessoas que visitam o museu.
These seeds are not hiding in the lab. They people that can come and visit them, and it's part of the visiting process of the museum.
Um outro projeto que faz parte dessa reinvenção da nossa relação com regeneração está ligado ao compartilhamento não só de conhecimento, mas também de um modo Inhotim de produzir natureza e produzir paisagem.
Part of this process of regeneration is about also sharing the knowledge of that, thinking of regeneration in a way that we also share the Inhotim way of doing it, our own methodology of doing it.
Se chama Lab Jardim.
It's called Garden Lab.
e é um programa de treinamento a partir do qual nós compartilhamos com os participantes aspectos teóricos e práticos sobre a jardinagem, com ênfase na relação das pessoas com as plantas, mas principalmente que essa abundância de natureza que existe em Inhotim, ela possa ser disseminada pela cidade. Então, que a cidade também possa se reflorestar a partir desse compartilhamento de conhecimento.
This is a program that goes beyond the theoretical process. It's also very practical on having this connection or reconnection of people to the plants. In a way, they can help on doing this, spreading this abundance of the plants throughout the city, and also disseminating this idea and regenerating the city itself.
Eu gosto de compartilhar desse programa que ele tem 10 participantes por ano, que as pessoas que estão em processo de estudos, elas são remuneradas com uma bolsa de R$1.000, mas principalmente que fazem parte desse programa 7 mulheres das 10 pessoas, das quais 8 pessoas se identificam como pessoas negras. E por que é importante destacar isso? Porque, segundo a Oxfam Brasil, as mulheres negras e que vivem em zonas rurais são as mais suscetíveis aos problemas gerados pelas mudanças climáticas.
It's very important for me to say that the program has 10 participants per year. They receive a remuneration, a salary of R$1,000 to participate in this program. Also very important for me to say is that of these 10 participants, 7 are women. 8 of them identify as black. This is important because Oxfam Brazil says that the most people in danger because of climate change are the black women in Brazil, especially in rural areas.
E qual é o legado que nós construímos nos 20 anos do Inhotim a partir da relação com a conservação dos fragmentos nativos de floresta?
And so, which is the legacy that we have after conserving these spaces and these bits of the forest?
Além da diversidade de plantas e de espécies que nós conseguimos conservar,
beyond the diversity of plants that we conserve,
dos 140 hectares de espaço que o museu ocupa, 75 são hectares de fragmentos de floresta.
Of the 140 hectares of the forest, 75 are dedicated to forest fragments.
O que nós comparamos ao Brasil, e acredito que seja uma comparação também interessante em Liverpool, há o equivalente a 75 estádios de futebol.
A comparison that is important in Brazil, but maybe in Liverpool also is important to understand, that is 75 football fields.
É isso. Obrigada.
Thank you very much.
Again, wonderful, fascinating presentation, and building upon, I think, lots of the key themes that we've spoken about throughout the conference: placemaking, connection, relationships, etc. So thank you again, Gleyce. Can we play Mohsen's recording, please, tech team? Thank you.
Hello and welcome to my presentation. Good afternoon and thank you for the invitation to speak at this conference. My name is Mohsen Ghanooni and this presentation is part of Season 4, Care for the Planet. I'll be sharing a case study on how a heritage museum in Iran has been reimagined through regenerative design with a focus on sustainability, adaptive reuse, and the integration of cultural and environmental values. The Taraput Museum project is a direct response to global sustainability challenges, and it's aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, especially those focusing on environmental sustainability, heritage preservation, and community development. In today's presentation, I'll highlight the key aspect of how this museum contributes to a more sustainable and regenerative future. Now, let's take a closer look at the location of the Taraput Museum, which is situated in Yazd, a UNESCO World Heritage City. Yazd is renowned for its rich cultural heritage. particularly in the field of traditional crafts and textiles. It's also one of the sunniest cities in the world, with more than 300 sunny days per year, making it an ideal location for harnessing solar energy, a key feature of the museum's sustainable design. To begin with, I'll present the site plan of the museum, which provides the context of the project. The Tarapod Museum in Yazd is located on the site of the historical Janub Textile Factory, which covers an area of approximately 4 hectares. Constructed around 75 years ago, the factory took 30 years to complete and ceased operation about 25 years ago. Over time, various sections of the factory were transformed into cultural spaces and museums. The museum's building spans 6,200 square meters and occupies the original main production hall. Its architectural design combines traditional Iranian brickwork with European industrial elements, making it a unique and valuable piece of heritage. In the current image, you can see a general view of the museum's sky dome. And this image, you can see the factory space before the conservation and restoration and rehabilitation process. To better understand and correctly focus on sustainability concepts, we must first concentrate on the goals, mission, and vision of the project, as well as how they are interconnected with the concepts of sustainable. As we know, sustainable development includes the 5 Ps and 17 SDGs, each of which pursues different missions to achieve sustainable development goals. Among them, some projects aim to establish various objectives by focusing on one or a combination of several SDGs. Based on our mission and goals, we focus on the planet, and we pursued various objectives within the SDGs to achieve it. As we focus on a planet aspect of sustainability, the Tarapod Museum has been designed with a strong commitment to environmental stewardship. By integrating regenerative practices, the museum actively engaged with the urgent need to address climate change and environmental degradation. In this project, 4 SDGs are directly aligned with the museum missions, with SDG 7 and SDG 13, especially linked to the planet aspect of sustainability. SDG 7 related to affordable and clean energy, SDG 9 related to industry, innovation, and infrastructure, SDG 12 mentioned responsible consumption and production, and finally, the most important SDG for us is climate action. One of the cornerstone features of the Tarapod Museum is its integration of renewable energy, particularly through the use of solar power, given that Yazd is one of the sunniest cities in the world. It made perfect sense to harness the abundant sunlight available in the region to power the museum. This decision was not only a step toward reducing our environmental footprint, but also a way to demonstrate the potential of renewable energy in the museum sector. As mentioned, Yazd is one of the sunniest and hottest cities in Iran. The city experiences extremely hot summers with temperatures in July and August, sometimes exceeding 50 degrees centigrade. Here you can see a table of the maximum temperatures in Yazd. Based on this, the use of renewable energy is inevitable. As alongside the heat, the issue of water scarcity has brought many environmental challenges. The museum is equipped with solar panels installed on the roof, with the project divided into 2 distinct phases. The initial phase is designed to produce 250 kilowatt of electricity per hour, while the second phase will add an additional 200 kilowatt capacity. This system is specifically designed to meet the museum's full electricity needs, especially during peak summer heat periods. By utilizing solar panels and solar power, the museum can operate independently of fossil fuels, significantly reducing its carbon footprint. Furthermore, any surplus energy produced by the solar panels is fed back into the national grid, supporting the region's overall energy sustainability. As we can see in the chart, the first phase of the solar energy system covers the museum's basic energy needs throughout the year, while the second phase is necessary during the peak summer hot periods to meet the higher energy demand. The Taraput Museum has had a profound impact on both the local community and the broader cultural landscape. Through its commitment to sustainable development, cultural preservation, and community engagement, the museum has contributed positively in the several key. As you can see, the Taraput Museum has made cultural, social, economic, and environmental impact through heritage revival, community empowerment, tourism, development, and sustainable environmental practice. As we reflect on the success and positive impact of the Taraput Museum, it's equally important to look forward to the future and the continued growth of this pioneering project. While we have made significant strides in preserving Iranians' textile heritage, there is still much to be done and several exciting developments and planned for the coming years. Looking ahead, the future outcome of the Taraput Museum focuses on expanding facilities, enhancing collaboration, integrating advanced technologies, and strengthening sustainability practices for continuous growth and heritage. Now I invite you to take a visual journey through the conserved museum space and selected highlights from the Taraput textile collection. We can see some historical textile machinery and some historical fabrics, some historical piece of very unique textiles, historical carpets and rugs, and some extra halls related to textile. Thank you all for your attention and for allowing me to share the vision and progress of the Taraput Museum. Now I'd like to open the floor to any questions and comments. Your insights and feedback are valuable to us. Thank you.
Well, that was another really fascinating presentation, and thank you to Mohsen for that. Do we have Mohsen online? I know there may be some, unfortunately we have some technical difficulties. There seems to have been a power outage in Iran, so Mohsen won't be able to join us for the Q&A session. I think what was fascinating about these presentations from my perspective was they show three different pathways to sustainability and regenerative practice. So the example we just saw from Iran, very much linked to sustainable development goals, the issues that you're facing in Egypt, very much kind of reacting to really significant natural threats, climate threats, and then the case study from Brazil, very much kind of organic, related to place, engaged in thinking about arts, relationships, etc. So really fascinating ways of thinking about these issues. I think we might have time for one or two questions. I have many questions about these presentations, but can I ask, does anyone from the floor have anything that they would like to ask the panel? Yes, just over the back over here.
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm from Royal Armouries, and I have a question about flooding in museums. I live in York, which is famous for flooding, and there is a lot of work that goes on preventing flooding, but what we find with that is it just moves the flood further down and causes problems elsewhere. And recently, we're seeing a lot more kind of building retrofitting that accepts the flooding and allows that kind of seasonal flooding to happen where the building can't be in use for a while. Where I'm struggling, particularly at the Royal Armouries, where we are surrounded by a river and a canal, and it has flooded before, is it possible to have a museum with artefacts and conservation areas that does flood regularly? It just seems really counterproductive. So I'm interested to know what you think of that and how we can kind of work towards that, because, as you say, we need to work with nature a bit more rather than against it. And it does seem, if you do have museums, as we do in Liverpool, along rivers, that this is an inevitable consequence in the future.
Mamdouh, would you like to say that?
Thank you for your question. It's a very amazing question because the site museum, according to my museum, site museum especially, exposed to many disasters and risks inside. So we are located in the sloping of the hill, and everything, the wind, the heat, everything flooding. And the rainwater, we suffer from the rainwater rushing into the, so we could to raise the elevation of the wall, okay, and we could make a drainage line to give the water away from the open court. So I can control in my museum how to make the streaming of the rainwater to come, okay, and streaming to another way, be away from the building or the courtway. So we have to make like something like dam or the wall, okay, and make the drainage lines to be away from this. This is very important because the site museums exposed for many factors of the climate change.
Great, I think we have time for one more question, if anyone has one. Oh, I think there's someone just in the front row over here. Oh, the mic's coming, don't we?
Because we talk about Egypt, I think it's a good time to announce some news related to the same theme in Egypt, especially in Alexandria. I have a good news about the climate and heritage. I announced that me and Dr. Osama has the heritage expert and my friend. We work together to present a project of creating the first climate heritage museum in the world to Egyptian government represented in Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. They are currently working on the project which will be in Alexandria. The city that was subject to several impacts of climate change through history. And I hope that at next year's conference we can announce the opening here. Thank you.
Well, that is excellent news to end on. Congratulations on that. I think that is all the time that we have for this session, but I believe we're going into a break now, so if you do have any questions for the panel here, please do find them and ask them. But if we can just thank the panel one more time.
Thank you, Jamie and Gleyce and Mohsen and Mamdouh.